Bilyonia? Don't you really stand up to people there? Okay, I'm going to read this out and basically we're going to sign this and then it's going to be served as a notice to Prime Minister Trudeau, probably AFN, because AFN has been involved with the Liberal government in negotiating these what we call surrender and assimilation policy documents or agreements. And this notice, you know, we don't see it as the Liberal government agreeing and saying, okay, we agree to everything that you wrote in there. That's not what we're serving this notice. We're serving it to let them know that this is who we are, as Mi'kmaq people. We're not asking for their consent or permission or to give us self-government. You know, our sovereignty came from the Creator. It's a given sovereignty. Federal or provincial governments have no right to say, well, you know, only we can give you that right to be self-governing. And the reason we were serving this is because I had spoken to several constitutional lawyers on all this Bill C-15 and Cantrip were introduced by Canada. And based on their legal opinions, they said that what Canada and the provinces are trying to do is marginalize or minimize, you know, our sovereignties and our jurisdictions upon our still unceded Mi'kmaq territories and natural resources. They call it reconciliation, but that's just a smokescreen. This is not really a reconciliation. Comprehensive land claims, interim comprehensive land claims are not reconciliation. They're actually documents where they ask for surrender of our territories and natural resources. And that's been going on for 3 decades now. I know that MMS has been negotiating with Canada in the last several decades since it was created back in 2000 or so. And the interim comprehensive land claims policy, basically, as these constitutional lawyers are stating, is it caters to Canada and the provinces and the oil, gas, mining companies, because they want to make sure that they have access, they have being title to whatever that they want to mine or whatever oil and gas they want to extract. And you can see coming up here, the forestry really doing a number on clear cutting over here. I mean, some people said that when they were last here, maybe a year ago or so, they didn't even recognize that they were on the same road leading to our camp. And it's true. You know what? We went back and forth, but it just changed, you know, the whole scenery coming up here. And the reason, and I was told, serve your notices to Canada, stating who you are, and base your document on historical and legal facts that support your continued sovereignty, your continued title to our still unceded lands. And this is what this document does. Because they said if you don't do that, and later on when the saying goes, when the shit hits the fan, you know, if you want to go to court and challenge what you've been doing, courts are naturally going to ask, well, did you do anything about it while this was going on? Were you consulted, or did you give consent to give you a notice? If you say no, well then, you know, to them, these lawyers and scholars are saying that if you didn't serve your notice, you'd be taking us to silence is consent. And I can safely say that from here to Cape Breton, we're the only district that has a 7-district tribal system, which we revived 30 years ago. It's still alive and well. We've been tested through the lower courts up to the Supreme Court of Canada in 1997. I was there in 1997. And I was there because of the chief the next community challenged who we were as a 7th district governing system. Basically, their lawyers and their defense was we're not recognized as something that we made up. But long story short, the Supreme Court didn't agree. They said that just because the Europeans sailed along our shores didn't mean that they eradicated or wiped out our original ancestral governing systems. And therefore, their motion to have our motion thrown out was denied. So, all of us here that are here, it's important to realize that because we have been through the courts. Through Carlisle, the Superior Court. Again, my prison was challenged by the MNG here back when he was Chief D&D Care's administration that time. We put in a declaratory, we put in a motion for a declaratory judgment, meaning that he wanted the court to answer who is really the legitimate governing system. Is it the Bank Councils, Indian Act Bank Council, or is it our 7th District Tribal Council, which is the ancestral and original governing systems? And at that time, there had been a Supreme Court case that came out where it said that no one can represent the people's collective and individual treaty right. Only the bank councils can do that. That was called the Ben case. But when I went to New Carlisle and the judge made her ruling, he said, he asked me, do you have written consent of the individuals that you claim to represent? And reluctantly I said, no, I don't. And I knew where she was coming from because the lawyer, the constitutional lawyer that I had working with me said they will probably cite that case which came out 2 weeks before my case. But she said, one thing that was positive, she said, the next time you come back here, make sure you have those written consent forms signed by the individuals that have these collective treaty rights. Then you can proceed as a district, either district chief or the 7th district tribal system to represent these people's collective rights. I also have a document here that won't accompany this. The document that I have is basically forms that we have made, I'd say about 3 years ago. Madeline was still alive, because she was circulating them. And basically that document just says what the historical and legal facts are, who we are as a continued ancestral governing tribal system, and that the people who signed the forms as parents or individuals signed it knowing that the wording in it says, I place my collective treaty right, individual treaty right, under the 7th District Gespegawagi Tribal Council. And it states in there that the provinces or federal government, whatever, cannot stop me from exercising my inherent creative given right to be here, to fish, to hunt, and so forth. So we had about 300 signed at that time. I have them. That's the blanks that I brought. But if people here want to sign it as a protection for their individual and collective right, I would recommend that they do, because as a tribal council, we will never, as I stated before, never negotiate with federal, provincial, or any other organization that seeks to erode and extinguish our district titles or treaty rights. Our track record for the last 30 years, as a lot of you know, has been to protect the territory, protect our people, protect our sovereignty and jurisdiction. Example is Bastide. We were the ones that started litigation on the Bastide case by writing out a permit from our tribal council. And it took 7 or 8 years, but we eventually won, along with the bank council signing on to it later, because they had no choice because they were being sued along with us. But long story short, a lot of the big chunk of reserve land that this settlers stole, we got it back, which is called the Bastide estate. And we've been involved in other like the logging protests and 98 blockade and so forth. You know, we're established. Governments know who we are. Federal or provincial governments knows who we are as a tribal district governing system. So by placing you right, I think you should think about it because of your children or your grandchildren or your nieces and nephews. You know, you have to think about your future just like our ancestors did for us. You know, they're secured for our continued survival, the past 7 generations. We're the 7th generation now. And we have an obligation to do the same thing as what they did for us. And this document, along with other documents that we served to Canada, basically affirm that. We're here, we're not going away. If anything, we're getting stronger. We're getting stronger. Like I said earlier, maybe there's not 100 or not 1,000 people here, but I can tell you one thing. We've praise-based already in the courts of who we are, and our legitimacy has been affirmed. A lot of people don't understand that. And I was talking to Chris, council member in Vivace, but Kathy knows about it too. Land councils only have a defined jurisdiction within the union. After that, the courts will say no. If you try to make a bylaw, create a bylaw, let's say, or here, or a little bit further, they'll say no, you can't do that. But that's already been, it's in the document here, 2 cases, R versus Lewis in British Columbia, and R versus Naika. Basically, the court said no, but the Indian Afghans tried to assert the bylaw on the middle of the rivers on BC. They said, no, you can't do that. Your jurisdiction ends on the high water mark. So therefore, we have, as the original ancestral governing system, we're the ones that have that jurisdiction. In Canada, the provinces know that, Quebec especially in the country, because they're negotiating, as what's in this document too, they're negotiating with Indian Act 1876 created land councils and excluding us as the original governing system. They don't want to deal with us. It goes back all the way to John A. McDonald when we legislated the 1876 Indian Act. The main reason we did that was to wipe out the life hereditary system and deal with this 1876 Indian Act system. But now, because of Cambridge and Bill C-15, Comprehensive Land Claims, and First Nation Land Management Act, there's people across the country, traditional, original governing systems are starting to unite. We're all connected with them one way or the other. I know a lot from here to British Columbia. I talk to them through the internet. And what we're talking about here is being talked about across the country. For example, Kathy Martin had Ross Daibo here presenting all this information about Cambridge and BC-15. Basically, Cambridge is just a watered down United Nations Indigenous Declaration. They watered that down. Canada said it's got to be consistent with our law, Canadian law. And therefore, they slashed most of the UN. The 200-some countries have supported and voted on, accepted it, supported Indigenous sovereignty. And when Canada was done with it, we're just going to be mere under municipalities, you know? And I can't understand why AFN didn't see that, why AFN didn't object to that. But you look at the leadership back then, Ellegard, you know? Ellegard, before him, basically were embracing Canada. And we all know why, because of the money. Canada gave them what do you want? How much do you want? They didn't care about the corruption that goes on within AFN. That's why they got rid of Roseanne, the National Revenue Chief. He was going to expose for forensic audit what AFN has been doing all along. And there was evidence, but the chiefs who have the powers, what do you call the regional chiefs who have the, nope, they put the brakes on that. They did that, not only that, they voted, hey, he's got to go up, he's got to be out because he's creating division. That's not creating division. You know, what she was trying to do was right. So this is what this is about. This is not over. Canada thinks that candidate and comprehensive land claims and BC-15 is a done deal. No, we're still around. They have to deal with us one way or the other. And they've got the notices that we've served them. Going on over 2 decades, and we've got a record to show that we've rejected this since the beginning. So I'm going to read it out, and after I'm going to have the tribal council representative sign it. There's also a signing space for youth, and you're the youth that want to sign it. It doesn't have to be now. What I want to do is I made about 40 or 50, but I can always make more when people go back home and people want to sign this. I can make more signing sheets. Or then, if people want to sign over their children or whatever, elected and individual treaty and stuff. Anybody have any questions before I start? Or do you want to ask them when I finish the document? Okay, I'm going to read it out. Title is 7th District Gespegawagi Position Paper on Canada's Bill C-15, Canada, and First Nations Land Management Act, FNLMA. Whereas we, the original Mi'kmaq peoples, have lived in Gespegawagi since time immemorial, and were vested by this Creator our inherent right to be sovereign Mi'kmaq peoples, and thereby are duty bound to protect our Creator-given sovereignty and original title to our 7th District Gespegawagi homelands, permitting tourism by Canada in eroding and terminating our Creator-given Mi'kmaq sovereignty. Whereas our Creator's 7th District Mi'kmaq sovereignty was further affirmed by the signing of our peace and friendship treaties between our original Mi'kmaq 7 districts and the British Crown in 1752, 1760, 61, and 1779. 1779 was called the Restoration Treaty, Restoration Treaty. Whereas our Creator-given 7th District Mi'kmaq sovereignty was also affirmed by the 1763 Royal Proclamation in the Unceded Indian Lands Protection Clause, which states, and whereas it is just and reasonable and essential to our interests and the security of our colonies that the several nations or tribes of Indians with whom we are connected and will live under our protection should not, with whom we are connected and will live under our protection, should not be molested or disturbed in the possession of such parts of our dominions and territories as not having been ceded to or purchased by us, are reserved to them or any of them as their hunting grounds. Basically, that's the 1763 Proclamation Clause stating that where we are now, where we're standing now, or sitting, is still unceded to our 7th District territory. Whereas our original Mi'kmaq 7th District Gespegawagi overseers tribal council governing system, members and families have sent previous notices to the government of Canada. The first notice dated June 3rd, 2010, which was sent to the former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. The second notice to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dated October 21st, 2015. I have copies of those notices which I will be attaching to the notice when we do send them out. Whereas both notices sent to Prime Minister Harper and Prime Minister Trudeau contain the historical and legal facts contained in this document that support our continued Creator-given Mi'kmaq sovereignty, and both times did not reply to recognize or refute our historical and legal facts supporting our continued Mi'kmaq sovereignty. See attached notices in response to this, those two, and will be attached to this notice. Whereas our original Mi'kmaq 7th District Gespegawagi overseers tribal council governing system, its members and families, and also served notice to you, Prime Minister Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, dated January 26, 2019, a declaration of our 7th District Gespegawagi sovereignty. Again, you and the Prime Minister, you as the Prime Minister, refuse to reply or recognize or refute or restore the legal facts contained in my declaration of 7th District Gespegawagi sovereignty, affirming or continuing Mi'kmaq sovereignty. And the only response order was from the Netherlands was that we had received our notice to you of our declaration of Mi'kmaq sovereignty document and would be passed on to Minister Carol Bennett for information and consideration. See attached letter by Team California. I also have that and we'll attach that to this document. Whereas it is clear to our original 7th District Gespegawagi Overseers Tribal Council governing system, its members and families of new Prime Minister Trudeau and former Prime Minister Harper deliberately refused to acknowledge or respond to our historical and legal facts that affirm and continue Mi'kmaq sovereignty. Whereas you, former Prime Minister Harper, and in collaboration with AFN, you have been working on your own watered-down version of Hundred since 2010. It's chapter 12, called it an aspirational document, as seen by Mr. Straw's letter dated July 19, 2010, and ensuring us this aspirational document under will be fully consistent with Canada's Constitution and laws. Okay, there we go. That's all right. I'll read it over. Whereas also since your election in 2015 as Prime Minister, you and your Liberal government, along with AFN, have worked on and finalized your watered-down version of Hundred that was supported and what our support and aspiration in the nation government should be under Canadian law in the Bill C-15 Act, which has passed third reading in the Senate. There are several of our original nation allies throughout Canada have concerns that the Bill C-15 can be passed. And the FNLMA Act confirms Canada's view in minimizing and marginalizing our original creator given sovereignties by calling it as a mere aspiration. That should be under Canada's Constitution and laws. We see our creator given 7th District Gespegawagi sovereignty as already defined and affirmed by the King of England when our 7 ancestral district chiefs signed our peace and friendship treaties 1752 and 60 and 61 and 79 with the British Empire, and also defined and affirmed by the 1763 World Proclamation, which is also imperial law and entrenched in Canada's Constitution. We, therefore, the representatives of our 7th District Gespegawagi Overseers Tribal Council, which clans or families assembled, declare that the government of Canada has no historical or legal authority to grant us our Mi'kmaq sovereignty to its watered-down Bill C-15 candidate and FNLMA Acts. Our 7th District Gespegawagi Overseers Tribal Council and our Mi'kmaq people sovereign status is a creator's usually given right that has existed since time immemorial. We, the 7th District Gespegawagi Overseers Tribal Council, representatives and fans of families, support our allies, the original nations, and these people throughout Canada in rejecting the Bill C-15 candidate and FNLMA Acts and are written in its current provisions does not affirm or recognize our original created given sovereignties that were affirmed by the signing of the 1800 treaties throughout Canada and also affirmed by the 1763 Royal Proclamation. Further, you and your Liberal government's collaboration with the Assembly of First Nations, AFN, in the drafting of those Assimilation and Surrender Acts, and recognizing AFN as the only nation government that represents all of the original nations and people throughout Canada, created a false illusion. When in fact, historically viewed the AFN and all the Indian Act chiefs and land councils were created by the 1876 Indian Act legislation. The Liberal government and the Assembly of First Nations and the Indian Act chiefs are actually one federal entity negotiating and defining what a self-government should be. The Liberal government and AFN are mirrored in the profound conflict of interest relationship negotiating for the surrender of our ancestral district homelands and trying to erode and displace our treaties with the modern day agreements. And that's an important clause because, as I stated earlier, there's a lot going on here. Different organizations, secretariats, mandated by chiefs of councils, and are negotiating, ruling our original treaty rights, and not consulting with our people on how they're being used. Consultation is a loose, a very loose, I guess, way of how they think what consultation is. Consultation is not having a community supper with spaghetti and meatballs. I'm not talking about exactly what the bottom line that's being negotiated with certain Aboriginal treaty rights. These are serious negotiations that will affect not only our generation, but our children's generation. And we're not the only ones, as just ordinary people that don't know what these closed-door backroom negotiations have been for the last 2 decades. I was a council member at some point in time, way back in, I think it was 1983 or 92, and my last term was 2018. But trying to get documents from the secretary of the MMS was like pulling teeth. I mean, as a council member, you have the authority and every right to ask for any document from any director, and they have to provide that. I mean, you're part of the government, and for some reason, they'll tell those negotiation documents really close to their chest. But I knew enough of just going through Indian Affairs websites on the stages that were in those negotiations, and the clauses in the comprehensive land claims. If you read that, that's pretty scary, because you have third-party interests that basically are in that document, and they're protected from being claimed by us. So a third-party interest means mining, forestry, oil and gas, and Quebec has given out 80% of our territory licenses to all these. So what do we have left is like Swiss cheese, and we're not doing that. So that's why it's important that we look at filing an Aboriginal title claim. That's why we had the BC constitutional lawyer a few months ago, and he gave us the opinion and said this is the way to go. That's how you wield the big stick against Canada, by using your Aboriginal title. Otherwise, they won't listen to you. They'll push their agenda, and they're the original title holders, which are not. The term AFN was first introduced in 1980s by the former National Union Brotherhood. We started calling the organization the Assembly of First Nations. They in Canada have been effective in The term AFN was first introduced in 1980 by the former National Indian Brotherhood. We started calling the organization the Assembly of First Nations. They in Canada have been effective and equipped in our jurisdictions across Canada for generations prior to contact. Our southern district is Gespegawagi oversees tribal council. Representatives expand the province demand that Canada must accept the historic and legal facts AFN, Union Act Chief and Land Council, and not the legitimate ancestral original relations of our people. Importantly also, the Union Act defined jurisdiction only extends within the Union Act defined reservation boundaries, also defined in two Supreme Court cases, our versus Rules and our versus Land Council. That's the cases I was talking about. Therefore, these results of Canada make amendments in the BC-15 Standard Act to improve wording in which that is specifically clear and not ambiguous that Canada recognizes our original southern district Gespegawagi government system. And our creator didn't work to be sovereign in that district. which were further affirmed by the 1752, 1760, 61, and 1779 peace of Constitution that were signed by an ancestral semi-independent district chiefs and sub-chiefs, and further affirmed in the 1763 War Proclamation, also affirmed by the Supreme Court of Canada in 1997 in the Quebec Succession case. That's the case in 97 that I was at the Supreme Court where my opinion was being challenged by the former chief, with the ruling. And that's where the rule that we were still, our system was still alive and rule. Also, both our original civil rights and 1763 War Proclamation were also entrenched into the 1982 Constitution in Section 25 and 35. Now, thereby law, Canada refuses to abide by its own law and operates outside the rule of law by using the modern-day surrender and assimilation agreements, the C-15, the Canada Act, and also the FNLNA First Nations Land Management Act, to terminate our original second district Gespegawagi title and carrying out full unceded reserves lands to near municipalities. But Canada returned, this is our position, and we've always stated that even with the Declaration of Provinces that we said in 2018, basically, our position is that some district private properties that we don't sell any land. Because if we keep the land in a lot of dealers, a lot of dealers in the next generations, even though they might pay a lot of money, they're going to throw a lot of money on the table, but you can't hold on to money. You try to hold on to it, and you trickle between your fingers when it's wrong, and you see that time to time. So we said that, Canada returned all of our southern district lands and natural resources that have been illegally held in trust by Canada and provinces since the 1800s to compensate our people for past loss of use of our natural resources and lost workers, and negotiate for future coexistence, co-management, and future co-sharing of road uses to Quebec and the member provinces to occupy our southern district territory. If you do that, that's basically a win-win situation. The land is always there, and they pay us for loss of use. That's what this is supported also. It's important to note that the UN Human Rights Commission sends a rapporteur, an investigator every 5 years to Canada, and pro-Canada the same thing in 2005, 2010. So, what they're doing using the comprehensive land claims negotiations is that Canada is being underhanded. They're using money to buy a title. They said rather you should be negotiating with First Nations as equal partners. And that's what they're saying here, as equal partners. This way, the royalties, the royalties themselves, past and future, if negotiated, to provide continual existence for future generations. But that's not what they want to do. They just want to, these comprehensive land claim policies are called for greater certainty agreements. And that means Canada, once these are signed and finalized, that means Canada will have greater certainty that it is original title holder now. Because right now, Canada is not the original title holder. And it knows that because they're paying all these secretariats across these Nova Scotia and New Brunswick from here. That's why they're paying. But if Canada hadn't had an exclusive title, they wouldn't give a dime. They would pay a dime. Why spend millions and millions of dollars the last 2 decades? If they own it. And that proves that they don't own it. that's how we have to turn the tables. Basically saying that, hey, there's legal evidence, historical legal evidence, supporting our view that we should negotiate a legal partners by the Human Rights Commission. And constitutional lawyers, as I said earlier, are saying that this comprehensive land-based policy only caters to federal provincial governments and the oil and gas or other mining companies, so that they can come in and harvest and take what they want. A license given to them by provincial governments. The last part, we, the 7th District, Gespegawagi, Overseas Tribal Council, for all historic and legal purposes, wish to reiterate that we do not accept Bill C-15 and FMUMA acts as written because its provisions are lacking any true substance in the recognition and affirmation of a creative given individual sovereignty. And our ancestral 7th District Tribal of Canada, true reconciliation can only happen when Canada finally admits that we, the original ancestral Mi'kmaq peoples, are the original title holders of our still unceded Mi'kmaq 7th District homelands and national rights. So that's it. So now, if there's any questions of what we're doing actually, before we get to the sign. Chris, you got anything as a guide counselor?
No, all the way playing to me.
I do have something to say.
Yeah, go
A little
ahead.
bit. I just Yeah, I do have something to say about the 7th District and tribal councils and the recognitions across the country. I just came back from an AFN-QL meeting, and for the last about 6 to 8 months, every time I go to an AFN meeting or an AFN-QL meeting, I introduce myself as Dr. Kathy Martin, elected council member from Mississippi First Nation, and I also say sub-chief to the 7th District Tribal Council of Gespegawagi. So that stirs a little interest. They say, what's that? So I go on to explain about tribal councils and how that we're inherent to the land, and we exist throughout the land, and elected council is just that, an elected council for the jurisdiction of the Indian Act. So I talk about territories. And my last council meeting, the AFN-QL meeting I was proxy chief for, was just this week. And I made an announcement there. I announced that as both a elected council member and as a tribal council member, that I would be offering for national chief again. And they applaud that. I said, because we have to start recognizing both. If we want to move forward, we have to recognize both. We have to paddle both sides of that canoe, because both bring something to offer to the table. And we can't move forward just on one idea of Indian Act or traditional. You have to move forward, so there has to be this combining of it. And it seems that it's being recognized throughout the governments at the AFN-QL level. Anyway, so I just wanted to announce that there seems to be a shift in political thinking. So.
Robbie and Kathy, just to add to your comments, it's important to note, we were talking about this unity that between us and the LNG, that was last year, before the elections and after, sometime after the elections, and it's still our position as the tribal council that we try to work on that unity, because one needs the other, and together we're stronger, because that will eliminate any traps that provincial and federal governments want to use. They usually want to look for that crack and stick that right in there and keep pushing it in after there's division. But ideally, that would be the ideal situation if we could do that somehow. I don't know if you pass it as a council member, bring that to the next table in the next council meeting, that we will need to have another meeting with them somewhere. Maybe at the elders like we usually do. And we'll invite the chief and council. If they want, we can sit down and talk about this, because this is the only way that we can achieve what we want to do in terms of turning the tables on this comprehensive land claim process. Because the way it's going now, it's all Canada driven, and it's all for the interest of Canada and corporate sponsors. So the only way we want to turn that around is a two government systems file, and now there's no title for it. And we agreed to that. And, as you know, a lot of people were there during those meetings. And if you do that, then as Bruce Ricardo, the constitutional lawyer that gave us the pros and cons, said that if you have that unity, Canada cannot come in. How are you, Cal? Canada cannot come in through the back door and try to divide us. We're more stronger, and we talked about that, Chris. Even with your band council, chief and council, if they can realize that we're stronger that way, we don't have to go with Canada's comprehensive land claims, because why should Canada say we own it and you're going to jump through our hoops the way we want you to, when we're the original title holders, and they know that. But it's the money that they put on the table by funding these secretariats that they were able to do that. But if you had two governing systems saying enough is enough, your money isn't going to work anymore like you've tried before. You have to sit down with us as equal partners, and the way to get them to the table is to file an Aboriginal title claim like Gespegawagi did. And right away Canada said, oh, let's stop this litigation, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk. But that's the big stick that brought them to the table. And if we don't use that big stick, what's happening now is going to continue. They're going to have their agenda, their assimilation and surrender agendas go forward, because nobody's rejecting them. That's what we're doing today. So hopefully we can arrange that meeting, Kat, with LMG. We're more than open, Chris, to meet with your counterparts.
Yep.
And this is not for us, it's not we shouldn't be seen as a threat. I don't want to be a chief. I don't want to be a council within the LMFG. I have enough on my plate. That's what's going on here, I tried it in 18 and I said, forget it. I'm not. I forgot all about the headaches that go with it. I mean, you have to be committed. I give credit to Kathy, and she's been there for, and the things she's gone through, even from her own council colleagues. But I'm going to leave it at this. We're open to sitting down together and having a dialogue without having a pissing contest. Like I said, we don't want to be. That's not who we are. We're already established. We're comfortable of who we are, But if we do that, it'll help, especially our children. That's for them. Let's do it for them, if anything. So now I'm going to pass the signing sheet to the tribal council members. And the other forms that I'm going to be giving up for individuals that were here later after this tribal council signature, because I need those to send it off next week.
All right.